Okay, so unfortunately, sorry, made an error. I got cut off as I was recording the part of the interest part. So for the sake of saving time, I'm not going to redo the calcs again, but I'll just basically continue from having worked out the data balance. So now that we're in the interest part as well, so far as the interest part is concerned, we're dealing with interest debtors and opening balance for interest as well. So as we spoke about interest, it required to have its own separate calculation, from the actual sales debtors, because interest is an exempt supply, and as it is an exempt supply, that would deem it to be an exclusive of a VAT number, and therefore we'd not have to take it out of take out the portion of excluding the VAT figure from the actual figure, like we just did with the sales debtors worked out figure. So with interest, we'll apply the same methodology that helped us with working out the sales debtors. So we'll basically use the 1.5 million rands, which was basically the amount that was given to us as part of receipts within the bank balance. So that would have been the receipt of 1.5 million that we got from the actual bank balance, and we basically follow that up with an opening balance as per the account balances for interest that were provided as opening balance for 2022, if I'm not mistaken, and that was the actual opening balance of 400,000 so far as the actual statements are concerned, so far as our example is concerned, and that was an outflow, so because it had already been accounted for in a prior period, so it's not really relevant for our period of 2023. So then we then apply, bring in the closing balance of the interest balance so far as balance is provided. That was 600,000 rands. So we then would have to work out what the actual total balance of this figure is, taking into consideration that we've got a net inflow of 600 bucks plus 1.5. That would have given us 2.1 million rands, and we'd subtract 2.1 million rands from 400,000, and that would give us a net amount of 1.7 million rands, and that's how we got to the 7 million rands. So now that we've got the interest balance, the interest total figure, and we also have the debtors balance so far as the sales part, we have to combine these two amounts so as to be able to be in agreement with the part of the numerator that wants us to now aggregate total values of all supplies, because this 9,304,348 that we worked out for the debtors balance will now make a part of our taxable supplies, which would make it the numerator. So now we need to work towards getting close to the actual total value of supplies. So now we've got the two figures that we now combine in saying 9,304,348 rands plus the value of the interest part would have been 1,700,000, and we would have gotten a total figure of 11,004,348, which we got. So that's our total figure, which will be our denominator. So after we basically dot down our numerator amount, which is your debtor balance, and our denominator balance, which is our debtor balance plus the interest balance, would have given us that amount, which is what we've just spoken about. Then we divide the 9 odd million rands by the 11 odd million rands, and we get a percentage of 84.5%. And this is going to be the percentage that we now apply for apportionment, where general cost asset is basically concerned. And that's basically where we are in terms of that calculation. So this is how we basically get through it, and that's how you basically apply the actual elements that were granted in us so far as the class example to come through to that actual percentage, which will be relevant for our calculation, where we have a general use asset or general cost. That would be our applicable rate for those particular assets, particular transactions that entail to such. And that's where we are. It's not bad. You're just basically expected to get to the area of receipt and payment, and that's how we got there. And that's deems this value here to be area of receipt, which is the value worked out here, and the same is applicable to 1.7 interest balance for those two different balances. So that's basically what we expect it to do. So a question will never always be straightforward. You will never likely be provided with just straightforward amounts that you can work from. You'll likely be expected in most cases to work out the area of receipt and payment. So just using your understanding and the requirements of what that entails, you'll basically be expected to come through to using methodologies like we used in our instance, whereas other people could have also used ledger accounts. That would also pretty much work as well. And that's basically where we are. It's not too bad. If anything, in an exam, this is worth quite a few marks. You likely get more than 5 marks for such a question. So be on the lookout for such. And when it pops out at you, just be well prepared. And if it comes to a situation that you've worked out a wrong percentage, it's not the end of the world. Just keep on applying that percentage, and the examiner will mark you accordingly to whatever percentage you have worked out. And if you do not know how to get through that particular percentage, you're stuck for whatever reason, just estimate a percentage. Let the examiner know that this is your apportionment rate for your actual general use asset or general cost. Estimate that, give it to the examiner, and work with that as well. So it would not be as bad as not having to not put down anything at all. So this is where we are, and that's how we basically close this part of the apportionment lecture.